You can point to different things. Mr. Utley says 800 signatures. He told me 750 when he brought that to me. He did bring it to me. He did not, you know, that's less than 10% of the registered voters in this county. And the request was to have an election. The law doesn't provide for an election for this type of matter. The budget, like I say, now the budget that he's talking about was estimated back in the summer. What I'm talking about is the money that was in the bank when we closed business on September the 30th. When we started this new year, we had over $3 million in the general fund, just the general fund. Road and Bridge had over $202,000. So we are not broke. No, you cannot continue to spend more than what you bring in, but we are not broke. It's not as bad as everyone says it is. And as far as the note that they're talking about, you know, people, it's trying to represent that in fact we are paying on this note and everyone's going to be broke because it's going to go up. We have been paying on this note for the last 2 years. And we have been paying for the certificate of obligations that was done when they bought the land for the prison. The amount of money that we're paying annually for these two certificate obligations will not vary, but just a couple of thousand, less than $10,000 a year. In 2008, it was 2007, 9. And this year, 2010, we'll pay less than what we did last year on these certificate obligations. So this certificate obligation is not costing, is not breaking the county. This is what we've been doing, and our tax rate has gone down. And we've still been able to make these payments.
Mr. Kendall, thank you. Ms. Shaw?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Much has been said about the cost of the annex building and the tax money spent on county positions, equipment, facilities. What are some of your ideas to reduce the amount of county tax monies being spent?
I think the key thing here is we keep looking at that annex building, and I was not for the annex. However, we have the annex, and I think what we really need to look at, we wouldn't have needed that building if we had had one word in place, and that's maintenance. Go look at the courthouse. It's falling in. These people, we need somewhere to work. We needed somewhere to go. It didn't need to be that building, but we needed a building. Maintenance is what killed us, and it's just straight up and out there. So if you're going to oversee spending, what we need to do is we need to start maintaining what we have versus going out and just spend, spend, spend. When we build homes, we maintain our homes. We maintain our cars. We need to attack the county with the same personal love we attack our homes and our cars. We don't run them without oil. We don't let our walls start falling apart. We use maintenance. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we need is oversight of maintenance.
Ms. Shaw, thank you. Mr. Tennant, 1 minute rebuttal.
Thank you. It seems funny that with simple facts, budgets listed down to numbers, down to pennies, that there could be any disagreement. So of course it's a question of judgment, experience with these matters. These are big, complicated annual statements. So I'll tell you what you do. In moments like that, as a trial lawyer, what you do is you bring in an expert. You don't stand up and say there were 40 checks for $12 and 50 checks for $15. You bring in an expert. He said, I reviewed all these checks, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and you all are the jury. And I have an opinion based on my 30 years as a professor of finance at UTSA. I've seen cases like this before, X, Y, a number of times. And here's what I think, looking at all of this.
Mr. Tennant.
It ain't right, and you don't need to pay it.
Thank you, Mr. Tennant. Mr. Honey, 1 minute.
All right. Judge Kendall, I'm sorry if you feel it's directed at you, but after all, you are the judge. I don't think it's directed at you personally. I think it's directed at your record, and you have to live with your record. We had a $250,000 deficit in 2008. We have a $500,000 deficit this year. Is that looking good to you? It's not looking good to me. And people are saying the annex is for sure. Well, people that are in the know and that have been involved all this time realize that the appeals court is hearing an appeal on that today, and we'll know by Wednesday whether it's dead or not. So you kind of need to be in the know, you kind of need to be in the fight the whole way, which I've been for the past year, trying to protect your rights and the taxes of Karnes County. Thank you.
Mr. Huntley, thank you. Mr. Eccles, 1 minute.
Back to reduced spending, I think it's something we have to do. What I was looking through is, this is a contract that was signed by Judge Kendall with an architect, an architectural firm, and they called for that building to cost $2.3 million, which tells me that my estimate of $2,268,000 was not too far off. But it has been increased, and there have been other contracts signed, and the $3 million borrowed from Cross Bank I mentioned was borrowed for that purpose, and $3 million won't build it. But Mr. Utley's right, there is a suit pending at the present time that could stop the building of that annex. The annex is probably needed, the courthouse is in poor condition, it needs repair. It is fixable. And the purpose of the annex is to house the people in the courthouse while the courthouse is being repaired.
Mr. Eccles, 1 minute, thank you. Mr. Kendall.
You speaking to me?
No. Mr. Kendall.
The tax pretty much again to the new building. You know, this new building is being built to complement the other buildings in the city, Karnes City. It's being built with energy efficiency design, with all the questions that have come up, any additional money that has been thought about as far as reducing the cost has been assured by engineers that the energy efficiency of this building will pay for itself within 10 years. As it was said, this building is being built so that we can eventually repair the county courthouse. And this building is being built to see that, to demonstrate, as I feel, it demonstrates to the people, not only here, but the people that come look at the county, to invest in this county and move in this county, that we are willing to invest in the future of our county. And if we're not even willing to invest to the best for ourselves, then how can you expect someone to come in and invest money in this county? Thank you.
Mr. Kendall, thank you. Ms. Shaw.
I think there's some things that we need to look at here. We keep talking about the building. Let's stop, let's start, let's stop, let's start. Where are we? Fourth Court of Appeals? How many times do you need to be told no before you realize the answer may be no? I think what we need to do here is we need to regroup and we need to go on. Regardless of what's going on with that annex, if we pull out now, we still have bills to pay. We're still going to be paying the architect. Somebody's still going to want their money, and somebody's still going to want their profit. It doesn't just all go away. We're in a legal binding contract. So how do we get out of that contract? If you're going to tell me it's going to be at not a cost to the taxpayers, I just do not believe it. We all do not want to just go ahead and keep fighting and fighting and fighting. I don't think that that's a full representation of what Karnes County wants. And that's just my feelings on the annex.
Ms. Shaw, thank you. Mr. Utley, we're going on the next question. Okay, this is a long one. Stick with me. And I didn't write this one.
Isn't it supposed to be a question?
It's kind of like multi-tiered here going on here, right? The Commissioners Court was asked to reduce their salaries and benefits because their true time for country